Let's pick back up. So, in the last video, we started on our style guide, and we need to sort of get this back up and running. And where we left off, we had just done the 4 buttons. We still need to do these 2 buttons, the go back buttons, our interactive elements, our form elements, and there are a couple things that, anytime you have somebody building a design in Figma and there's a style system, it feels like there's always a few things that are missed. So one of them is, I think they intend for this to be an image. We're just going to go ahead and do this with CSS. And then you'll see there is a button with a plus icon instead of a back icon. And so we need to make that too. It's not represented here, but we'll go ahead and get that started. So the first thing I wanted to just dive into, I think I mentioned this, but these buttons just aren't going to cut it from an accessibility standpoint. So let's take a look at how we might deal with this. So if we dive in, we have our color primary 400, and the reason we use this system is because we can go up and down. Primary 200 is lighter, primary 400 is our main, and then what I want to do is go ahead and copy this and paste it in, and we're just going to move it on up here. And then we're going to duplicate this class and call it 600, color primary 600. And then the good news here is with this color, in Webflow, we have HSB here. Hue, saturation, brightness is what this stands for. And so, hue is the color, saturation is the richness or of the vibrancy of the color, and then the brightness is how light or dark it is. So the good news is that we can just tune this down and make it darker. I think an easy way to make these more accessible is just to make darker colors. So that's what I'm going to do really quickly, is just make some darker versions, and I think I'm going to go down to 60. I like that. It's a nice darker color. That's what we can use. And so we need to do this with our light blue. We have our darker blue, and then let's see, because what color is this? It's the tertiary 300. And this is the color secondary 400. So here's our secondary 400. We're just going to copy it and paste this in. And let's go ahead and duplicate this class and just go a shade darker, and we'll call it 600, color secondary 600. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to come down in here and just bump this down a notch. So now it's darker. And then tertiary 300, I think, is what the other button is. So let's go ahead and copy it and paste and bring this up next to the other. And then we'll tertiary 300. We have tertiary 400. So actually, we'll name this, duplicate the class. We'll go color tertiary 600. And then let's go ahead and just drop this down 20. Let's go to 25. Just like that. In fact, what I haven't done is make these swatches, so let's go ahead and create that. And then for our 600, let's go ahead and create a swatch for it. Color primary 600, or the secondary. And then on this one, let's give it the right name. Color tertiary 600. That's what we want. And then for this one, we'll add the swatch, make it color primary 600. All right. So we have those 3 colors, and then what's the last one? I think it's this red, color warning 400. So let's just copy it and paste it in here, and then we'll move it up, and then let's duplicate the class again, and we'll do color warning 600, and then let's just bring the brightness down on this too. Just like that. And then we'll go ahead and add this as a swatch. Color warning 600. Oh, not 60. Let's go ahead and add that second 0. Okay, so now we have these colors, and we can come back in and fix these hover states. So, on hover, let's go ahead and instead of making that bright, let's actually do the darker. And you'll see now, we have this AAA contrast ratio rating, which is this is what we want. And let's see, let's focused. Focus keyboard, we're still good there. I like that. That works for me. So now let's go to hover on this second button. Again, we're just going to throw the darker color in there. And we'll just double check, but we should be good. Yeah, AAA. And in fact, these are AAA, so going to the darker version's not going to make it go backwards, so I think we're good. So we'll go tertiary 600. Yeah, right there. And then go back to none. And then on button 4, we'll get to our hover state, do color warning 600. There it is. And yep, we are looking good. And now our buttons have hover states, and we've changed it from the design a little bit, but they're accessible, right? That's the point. We want them to be, from an accessibility standpoint, we don't want that contrast ratio to be in a place where it's just not going to work. All right, so let's look back at our Figma. We did our buttons. Now we have these go back. And I was looking in here because I thought I'll just export this SVG, but you can see this is sort of cut off. And I could grab the path and play around. But I'm just going to do this the easy way. If we go to fonts.google.com, there is an icons tab. And then we can just, you see there's an arrow back, so we'll just search arrow back, see if we have multiple options. Yeah, let's use this newer version here. We'll download the SVG. Now we have the SVG. And let's go ahead and open up Figma. And let's just create a new design file. And I'm going to call this product feedback. Not working. This is just my working file. So now we just want to grab this. I think we look in the design here. We need one that's the royal blue. It's our it is our color secondary 400. That's what color it needs to be. And then also in the design, let's look at the design here. We need one that's white. So what we could do is we could work with an SVG instead of, and use a current color instead of having to color these. But these aren't the same color. And this isn't the same color. In fact, this is, if we look at this arrow, this is CDD2E, and I don't even know if we have this as a color. No, and again, in the design system we have our colors, but then we have things that are colored, and they don't match anything in our palette. So we'll, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, because you see the default in the hover states, these colors aren't changing. I'm just going to go ahead and make SVGs that are this color and use them. So that's what I'm going to do. You could do this any way you want. But I'm going to go into my feedback working, and then let's just pull up my downloads here. And let's go ahead and drop this in. Now we have this. We'll just remove it out of the frame. And then we'll hold down Option and just make a copy. And we have 2 versions of it now. And then let's just bounce back over to this file. So let's just get these colors exactly right. Which, see, 647 is the, yeah, and that's, I think that's the one I said was an accent color, right? And Webflow. Color neutral 400, yeah, that's So that's that same color. Okay, that's okay. Okay, that's gonna we'll make that work. So let's just go back to our go back here. So this is the royal blue color. So let's just keep switching between apps. But really, you come over here. We'll put this in. So we have that, and then the other one. I don't know why I keep flipping apps. And then this one is the color that doesn't exist anywhere in our palette, which is okay. Can you tell that's OCD for me? It's bothering me. But now we have our two different arrows. So I'm just gonna call this. We'll just frame it, and we'll say SVG secondary 400. Actually, we'll just do back arrow, just like that, and then I don't know. We have no color for this, so just go with me. We'll frame this too, and we'll just do back arrow SVG. We'll just say neutral, since it's a neutral color. And then let's export it as an SVG, and we'll just go right to the desktop. That's fine. And then same here. Let's export this as an SVG to the desktop. That's fine. And then let's bounce over to Webflow. And let's go ahead and find these here on our desktop. Perfect. Okay, so we have those in Webflow now. Let's look here. All right, so this one is just, I mean, they're both the same, except this has no background color. You can tell they're a little taller, and they are go back. And hover, they're going to get the text underlined decoration. So let's go ahead and, that was our neutral. So let's go ahead and make a new button here. We'll just copy this. Actually, I'm going to copy the margin bottom so that we have it here. Let's go ahead and move this up. Let's go ahead and give these more margin bottom classes just to space them out. Okay. And this is going to be, that's button 4. We'll call this button go back. And then let's see here. So what we want for background is actually, we actually renamed the class. You may have been screaming at your computer. Let's duplicate the class button, button go back. Okay. And then let's remove the color, the background color. In fact, we'll go, and then this was our color neutral, or color neutral 400. And that's AA, so that's okay. We can go with that. And then let's just make this say go back, which that works. And I actually am going to add a background color to this really quickly, just so we can see. Oh, that's burn your eyes purple. With that, we just want, I think, a little more padding top and bottom than what exists here. So let's just bump this up. Okay. And let's get rid of that background color. Again, let's neutral. And then for the button go back, let's add a background image. Let's choose an image. We don't want to tile it. We want it to be positioned over here. Let's give it a width, like 1 rem. Let's look over here. It's much smaller. think theirs has a lot more weight to it as well, right? So that might be something we need to play with. Okay, let's make it a little thicker. What do you think? And then just straighten these out. Didn't quite work the way I wanted it. Well, let's, we looked at the material symbols and icons. You know what? I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to keep the material theme, themed icons and just roll with it. And we're just going to go left, just like that. So our arrows are going to be a little bit bigger, but I do want to keep the material. We could play with these sizings and kind of get them to what we want, but I don't want to wrestle with this, spend a lot of time wrestling with just arrows when, hey, we can just use, if it's good enough for Google and Android, it's good enough for us. And then the hover is just the text changes. So if we need to change the hover state, we want this to be just like that. And then we want the text decoration here. So now hover is just looks like that. So we go back. All right. And then we need to duplicate this go back button because we have an alternate that should happen here. And in fact, I think we can get rid of this this button. We don't need it. We have no buttons in that style. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's jump into Figma. And I think this is our color tertiary 300. Or yeah, that's our color tertiary 300. That's, or is it this color tertiary 400? It's the 400. Okay, so let's go ahead and button go back. Let's duplicate this class. We'll call it go back alt. And the background color for this is going to be here. And then, again, I think the text is just white. So that's fine. Text will be color neutral 100. Yep. And then we'll change the background arrow. Let's choose an image. To where it's just that, and then on hover we need the background color to be the same but just with text decoration. So let's hover. Our background color is going to be yeah, that, just like that. So now we have all of our buttons. We have button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, go back, and then the go back alternate. And then what we need as well is we need that plus button. So let's look for plus or add, I guess. So let's download this as an SVG, and then let's look in Figma and see what this needs to look like. It's not represented in the style sheet again, but we do have this add feedback button here, and we're gonna have to check on accessibility here as well. So let's go ahead and jump over to Webflow and create, let's duplicate this, and there is no hover state for it. But we'll just duplicate this button since we're really close here. And here we'll duplicate the class. We'll call this button add. All right, and let's go ahead and set the background color to something very bright. Actually, I think it's this color right here. And we fail whenever we use that. So I think what we'll do is get away from the designs to make it accessible. So here we're AA. It's not the best, but it's going to be good enough. And let's get our plus icon in here. Did we download it yet? We did not download it. Material symbols. Oh yeah, we did. Show and Finder. Just drag this in. Perfect. Let's go ahead and change the color. Looks like it's white. Let's group it, make a frame out of it, and then let's go ahead and call it add symbol SVG neutral 100. And let's go ahead and export this as an SVG, and we'll go ahead and export it to the desktop. And then let's jump back over to Webflow, open up the add panel, bring up the Finder, and we'll just add that in. And then here on this button, add, we'll just replace this. We'll choose our image and use the plus button. And I think 1.2, we can make that a little bit bigger. And I think this still feels oversized. Is anybody with me? Take that down to like 0.8. That feels a little bit better. Okay, and we have, and then for this one, button add, hover, we'll just drop down to this darker purple, just like we did with the other button. Okay, so now we have, and then this was actually add feedback. And then I think for button add, we're going to want to add a little more padding over here, just to make that work. And then I think since we have a hover on the color, let's make this consistent with the other buttons and no underline, because the go back have the underlines, but these are just hover states color. So we'll just keep that. So now we have our add feedback button. So all of our buttons are accessible. We have our buttons with our icons, and now we can keep moving. So next thing that we want to do is, if we look at our style guide, we probably want to get to these interactive elements and other pieces. But before we do, I did want to cover this gradient. And making a mesh gradient is not easy to do in Webflow, so we're going to use another tool. So I found this tool, CSS Hero Mesher, and then this is just hex to HSL, which is what we need. So let's start working on our colors here. So it looks like, I think at base it's going to be this dark purple. That's what we need for the background. So we'll just copy this color. We're going to go over and convert the hex to HSL. Or copy that and then come up here, and then let's set our background color to that dark purple. And then let's start Xing out. It won't let us get rid of these, but okay. Now let's look at, again, and so it's like blue, purple, this pink, this lighter like peachy color, and a blue. Okay, and so what they did is made a radial and then added two images or two ovals to it. You can see here, oval copy, and then like this with just a radial gradient. But we'll just play with these colors here. So let's go to our radial gradient and get the colors for this. So here we have this color E84D70. So let's convert it. So many steps. We'll copy this. Is that the right color? Yeah, that's the right color. And then we'll come over here and paste this in. And then what's really cool is I can drag this to where it belongs. So I think that one belongs down. Nope, it actually belongs in the top right-hand corner, which is great. That's where we'll put it. And then let's grab the blue color, which is 28A70D. Let's convert it. And we'll copy. And then down here, let's go ahead and paste this in. And this color wasn't really far off. And so now it's up here. We're going to put this down in this corner. So we're getting there now, getting closer. And then if we jump up to the oval, we have this color. So let's go ahead and add a plus. And let's go ahead and paste this in here. Close it up. And drag it down where it belongs, which is over here. And then we'll need another color, which is going to go up here. And it's this color right here. So let's copy it, convert it, grab the HSL, go into this mesh. And then this new light color here goes here. And then how these are arranged is what goes on top. So you can kind of play with how you want these stacked. But if you look at our Figma file, like we're not far off, and all we're going to do is add this dark purple. So we'll go back to our radial, take this dark purple, which is this color here, and we'll go ahead and plus this in and get us a new layer, and we'll take this and just drag it to the middle. And one thing I don't like about this tool is I can't really like change sizing or like rotate or anything once I get it in here, but it does give me sort of a mesh. In fact, I don't think I really need that, right? Like I really feel like this is pretty good. Like that has a stronger burst of that purple. That radial is so defined though when we add it in. So once we're here, we can export and we can copy to clipboard. Okay, so we have this. Now you get to see how I work with code in Webflow. So what I like to do is if you remember, we created our GitHub project and we added a folder to VS Code. I have that in here. And so I'm just going to add a new file. I'm just going to call this style.css. And then we need to create a class. So let's get back over here and jump up to our flex where all of our colors are. Just put a new div in. We'll just bounce this up here, and then yeah, we have a margin bottom there, so we're already good. And we can just put in a div. Oh, I selected a div block. I don't know what that's about. Div, let's throw that in there. We'll put this inside here. And we'll call this gradient spacer or whatever. We just need something that's going to take up space. I think this is like the width and the design is 255. Let's give it a height of like 180 or something. It's probably too tall. Yeah, something like that. And then let's put another div in here, and we'll drag this spacer in here. So this is just to give it. Right, we'll call this color gradient. We'll call it color gradient. Oh, I've already played with this. Color gradient primary. And then in Webflow, I'm putting these dashes. This goes back to like CSS variables and if I'm writing code. But it's really just, if we look at the class, let's go here. CSS preview. It's just color gradient primary. That's what it is. So this is what we need. So in our style sheet, we'll come over here and we'll say, we'll copy. Oh wait, I did not copy that for some reason. I think it's because it's trying to copy the code inside. I don't know if it's going to let me copy this. Let's try. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, that's okay. But it's color dash gradient dash primary. So we'll just say the color dash gradient primary. And we'll open this up. And then we need the code that we got from our mesh tool. So now we have this here. To test this, we need to publish. So what I'm going to do is just take my draft off of, we'll stay just for publish. And then we'll do a couple things here. So I have this plugin called Go Live. So let's live server, change live server workspace, and I'm going to choose this app. And then once I can click run live server, it's going to spin up and you can see all the things here. So now I have this, which is really cool. And I can just start putting this over into Webflow. Like it can link it like a style sheet. So probably before I publish, there's a couple things I should change, and I should probably just do this in and I will do this in the global head of our sheet. And if you're not sure like how to add in, if you're working in VS Code, you're not sure how to add in like an external CSS style sheet, you can just put in like we can get rid of this later, but just a test HTML. And if you're using VS Code, you should have emit in here, and you'll notice I can say, hey, give me HTML5, and then I can just come in here and type I think it's link rel style sheet. Yeah. What is the emit for it though? Emit CSS. No. Link. Link CSS. There it is. And it just throws it in here. So I was trying to show how you can do that. And so our href is we copied this local. This is only running on our machine. So now like we have this, and we can copy it and bring it over here. Now, if anybody else loads this page, this will not work, right? It's only going to work on our machine. But because this server is working on our machine, we're going to see what this looks like. So now if we open this up, yeah, we have this gradient. I think this works really well. It looks kind of weird stretched out. So like if we're not going to keep it like this everywhere, but like let's save in 255 pixels, because that's, again, that's the width of the item that will have that. We refresh this. So now we have this, right? This mesh gradient. And if we look over here in Figma, this is the gradient we have. So I think we did pretty good. And it's code. It's not an image. It's going to render better. But now you can see I have my style sheet in here. And what's really cool is if I wanted to make any changes to my code, I don't need to, we don't save, and we can get rid of this test HTML. I just wanted to show how you can take advantage of emit if you're not sure how to reference some of those things. But in my style, I could say H1 border like 1 pixel, a red, one's like solid. I think I can do it just like that. And so now you see that change is immediately reflected. I don't need to go publish Webflow again. So if I'm just playing with CSS, I know a lot of folks like to, there's a lot of things that people like to do with Webflow where like, oh, hey, I want to see this actual reflected. Well, you can come in here and just put in like an embed, and you can put the embed in here, and then you can throw this up here, and you could make this like a symbol, and then this is all of your CSS. I just prefer to keep it in an external style sheet. That's how I like to do it. I know that my code is working. I don't need to be proved out, the entire time to me in the designer. As long as I can see it working, here, um, then that's good enough for me. So let's go ahead and remove this. Okay, good. So now we have our gradient. So we're feeling good on that front as well. And now what do we have left? I think we have from our style guide, we have these interactive elements. And this is a drop down. These are just going to be the upvote pieces. And we do need to do some playing around here, because what if our product gets thousands of votes? This is really set for like 2 and 3 digits. So we want to make sure it's scalable. Let's dream big. We're going to have lots of people voting on this. And then another drop down menu here. And then these form elements. So it's a longer video, but I'm going to try to get through all of this style sheet, this style guide, design system, this video. And that means in the next video, we can actually pick up and we'll start building we'll pull the data into the CMS and actually start making this work. And we'll play with different methods to make this work and the different pieces that we have available to us. Okay, this is good. So let's go ahead and drop down and let's design our components. And part of me is like, should we design the whole card? I'm gonna go ahead and pause on that. Let's just get these. Let's get these working, and then we'll worry about that. So let's start building in here. So this is in our style system. We have utility classes, all these different pieces. So let me just pull up these sections here, and let's choose a section that doesn't have a ton in it. Form and inputs. Let's just copy it, drop it into our main wrapper, and we'll call this, what did they call it? The design, interactive elements. Interactive elements. And then let's go ahead and get rid of this form. I don't need it. And then inside of here, let's put a div. We'll give it a class of like MB1. That's fine. And then let's put a div in here and let's start working. So this is default hover active. So it's actually just one element. So we'll call this upvote wrapper. And we really need to build a form into this is what we need to do. Oh boy. Because what we're going to do, well, how do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? So there are two approaches. There are two approaches here. The first is we can do something like I made this site, and this is a form. And when you click it, you see you get a little animation. This is actually the form is a success, and then this is success state. Is this animation, and then the page refreshes. So you can do this. We could do it in a form, and then we could connect we could connect to Zapier. And if we connect to Zapier or make a form submission, let's go ahead and, do our math. We're going to get there. So that's one way. We actually have a form. The other way is we can actually just make this a button, and we can use JavaScript in the Fetch API and use something like No Code API or autocode to do this. So, I'm going to just make this a button for now to keep things simple. And then if we feel like it needs to be a form element and we want to use make or whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I hope that works for everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and... So since I was going to put a form in, I created a wrapper, but really I don't need that. I just need a button. And see what they're using the bold version of the font. So we're gonna call this button upvote. Okay, cool. And let's just 99, just like they have it. Let's see, what is there? The rectangle is 10. We're just gonna use like one rim. That may not work. So if we let's do pixels to rim calculator. Yeah. So 10 pixels, 0.625 rim is what it would be. Okay, so let's bounce back over here. 0.625 rim. Okay, that's better. And then let's jump back over to this. It's going to be taller, and it's got an up array or arrow, up arrow, and it is blue. And then this one changes color. Okay, this one changes color. So we could actually, so maybe instead of using a button, we use a link block. So we can, or we could use two different images, two different SVGs. How do we want to do this? I'm going to use two different SVGs. Again, do this however you want. We can do current color. I do that a lot. But we did this with, let's see, arrow up. Yeah, this right here. We sort of did this with our others, so just sticking to the same pattern here. And again, it's our primary, our secondary 400, right? Our secondary 400, and then neutral 100 is what the colors are. Yeah. Secondary 400, neutral 100. Yeah, that's what our colors are. So let's just bring these in now. Let's jump over here to our downloads, and let's just bring it in and take this, and again we'll option click and pull that over, so we have two of them. And then this one's going to be neutral 100, which is just white. And then the other is our secondary 400, which is this color right here. So let's go ahead and pull it. All right, so now we have our two up arrows. Let's frame them for export, and then we'll call this up arrow neutral 100, and then we'll give this one a name of up arrow secondary 400, just like that. Okay, so now we have both of these, and we can export them as SVGs. Yep, that's fine. And then up arrow export is an SVG. That's fine. And then let's go ahead and open up our designer and jump back over and pull up our desktop. Perfect. Okay, so we have those in here now, and then we could really just move this up to our buttons area too. So, but what we want to do is, with our buttons, we're using rims. So really, this would be one rim, and then 9. What did we say? 9 would be. I was doing math really good the other day in my head, off the top of my head, but it's late at night. My brain is not working as well. So Let's go ahead and rim. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add some more padding to the top. It looks a little off, but that's because we don't have our arrows in. So let's go ahead and drop those in. So default state, and in fact, let's get our background color. And again, F2F or F2F4FE. I don't think we have this in our, or is this it? Color neutral 200. Nope, that's not it. Color neutral, nope, that's not it. Again, a color we don't have really. We're just gonna use color neutral 300. So we'll come down here. Our background color is color neutral 300, and the text color is going to be that right there. They're using a bold font, and then let's add a background image. We'll choose it. It's this one. We're not going to repeat it. Top, middle, one rim. And then let's top just like that. And I think we need a little more. Felt like there wasn't enough padding up top, but I think there is. Okay, and then on a hover state, we'll change it to this this darker color. And again, I don't think this is a color we have, and this is infuriating. Don't think this is a color we have in our color palette. So we can come up here. Actually, would it be our color neutral 400? Feel like that's a little dark. Let's try it. So this hover color neutral 400. Yeah, too dark. Grr. So let's go up to our color neutrals here. And color neutral 200, 300, 400. So what we're gonna do, I probably messed up by not leaving enough space here. Let's take our color neutral 400 and let's copy it, bring it back up here. And then what we want to do is actually duplicate this class and just let's make this 600, and we'll take our color neutral 400 and actually make it this new color, and let's be color neutral 400, and then our color neutral 400, which we had up here, we're going to want to rename it in our palette to color neutral 500. Okay, so that way, or so did I have a 600, so that way it matches. So wasn't thinking there wasn't enough for I should have left more space in those numbers, but either way, we've got color neutral 400 now. So if we come back down here and we hover color neutral 400, that's what it should be. Okay, and then active, let's go pressed and focused. So it should be this, and we want color neutral 100 as the text, and then we want to change this image to this when pressed. So there we go, and then we'll also do this when focused. So focused, we'll go ahead and here, here, and then let's go ahead and swap the image for that. And then if we go focused keyboard, yeah, let's just set these explicitly, just so we have hover and focus pressed. So now we have our vote button. And I think since we used this, like we might want to, like what does 1000 look like? That looks weird. And so let's look and see what size font they were using. Just 13. And so like 0.813 rem, so 0.813 rem. That's better. And it makes me think if like, should we put a width on it of like, 65 or something like that, or maybe just like 4 rem. That way, 99 votes or 1,000 votes, and we can actually center the text here. That way, no matter how many votes you get, 1,000, it still works. Like, because the last thing we want is like, I know it doesn't match the style. And again, you have to think about, if you're expecting more than 999 votes on an item, you don't want it to break, right? So I think we should keep it as a wider button, personally. I think the font and the size bother me too. Like that 99, it looks like, does it not look like quotes to you? Like, oh, it looks like closing quotes. Either way, well, we'll keep it for now. So we have that, and then it looks like we have these pieces here, and these are like our filter buttons and tags. That's what these are. So we'll make those really quickly. So yeah, it's not terrible. We don't need this upvote wrapper now, though. We can get rid of that. It's just, again, we clean up styles as we go. If we don't need it, we get rid of it, right? Gradient spacer, color gradient primary. Okay, we didn't delete anything. So we have that, and then let's move to our tags, which are not going to be much different. And again, this can be sort of frustrating whenever, I think this really does highlight the difficulty of bringing something over from a Figma design, because one of the things that tends to happen is, you do have, like, you get this style guide and you add all the colors, but then you start looking in and you're like, oh, this isn't accessible, and these colors literally aren't in the sheet anywhere. And so you have to go back and make adjustments and continue to add things in. You can see how the CSS is it just bloats on us. And so we'll talk about performance and some things that we can do when we get there. But let's go ahead and do this. So we'll just, in here, we'll do a text block inside, and we'll just do what they did, UX. And so for this link block, let's get it to the right. First of all, let's get Command 0 gets Figma to the right size. Let's just look at padding on either side. So like 1 rem on each side, essentially. 1 rem, 1 rem, And then what is top and bottom here? 11, 10. So again, 0.625, something like that. 0.625 rem. 0.625 rem. And then what did we say? It was like that's the same thing on this, right? I think it was 0.625 rem on the border, and then for the color, it's color neutral 300, right? So background is color neutral 300, and then the font is the royal blue. We want no underline. We want this to be the bold, or maybe semi-bold. And what size is this? 13. Some really weird, some 0.813. Some really weird sizing on the font. 0.3 rem. So now we have our... Something feels off there. I think our background color, color neutral 300, right? Yeah. I have color neutral 400, so we want to go color neutral 300. Just like that, yeah. And then it's a color neutral 400 on hover. Hover, which is going to be color neutral 400. And then, and I know you're probably screaming at me because it says link block. So let's rename the class, and we'll call this link tags. And hey, there we go. And then active, so focused. It's going to be background of this, and we'll go with the and then focused keyboard. We want to just set the same things. Should be the same, but let's just make it explicit. And then we could change pressed if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and do that as well. It's the little things, right? Okay. And so now, yeah, perfect. Same with this button. Yeah, perfect. And this one feels weird trying to size it for like. This may be something I revisit in a later part of this this series, as I don't know if because it feels like with this, the font should be bigger, like. But again, that gets you to like one. Yeah, see. That's not as fun. I guess we could pull the... I think that feels a little bit better to me. Yeah, okay. So we have our interactive elements mostly done, and then they have like a drop down here, and then this is drop down. Of course, this is with form elements. So let's go ahead and do the drop down, and I think this is a really long video. We will end here. We're not going to get all the way through this sheet, but we'll get most of the way through it. So let's in here, let's go ahead and put a drop down element. Let's go ahead and get rid of this tag link on this one. And then we'll just call this drop down. And we want the background to be color tertiary 400. Yep. And then what do we got for font colors? F2, F4, FE. So again, color that's not Okay. We'll change this back to this is what we want, and and I always forget this will not change that. So we go to toggle, and we'll go ahead and change this here. And then let's just use their sort by most votes, sort by most upvotes. And then I think what they have here is, let's go ahead and put this in a span, and we'll call this light text, and I think that's as light as we have. I think when we looked at this, so if we do semi-bold, we didn't really see anything super light, like that wasn't included really in here. This is all regular, regular, regular. That feels like a it says regular. We haven't added anti-alias and all that stuff either, so but okay, so we have this, and then it should be 0.813 rem on the, let's just keep this consistent on our radius. Oh, and we need to put it out. We need to put that up here. 0.813 rem. Okay, so now we have sort by most upvotes, and I really feel like so this would be, let's just do 2 rem and 2 rem. Actually, this one's going to have to be more like 3 rem to account for that. And then what do we have on our spacing, top and bottom? So basically we need to be like 2.2 rem. So 2.2 rem, 2.2 rem. And that's what it looks like. It feels like it's a little much though, doesn't it? More like 2 rem. Yeah, okay. So now that we have that, we can choose the open state. So let's go ahead and show, and this open. I think we're gonna have to do an interaction to flip this, which is fine. Let's go ahead and select this, and we'll just call this DD list for drop down list. And then this is going to also have shadow on it. And then we'll keep the same 0.813 rem to keep it rounded. And it needs to be white. So background is going to be color neutral. And then this is going to be the link. And then let's go ahead and get these styled up. So this is more, this is one of our neutral colors. Set neutral 300 is what it's supposed to be. So neutral, or neutral 600. Yeah, that still works. So let's go ahead and link, the link. And then here we have a border between it. So let's just go ahead and DD link on the bottom. Let's put a border, and let's make it, that might be, that's too light, and that's too dark. We'll just bring the opacity down here to like 20. And then on this one, we don't have the ability to do last here. So what we're gonna do is just give it a class of last, a combo class in here. Since the last one, it gets no border. So most upvotes, least upvotes, most comments, least comments. That's fine. And it looks like when we hover, this is going to get our primary 400 color. And we'll play with state and this space in the next video, but we've gone really long. So we do have our drop down working, we have our upvote button, we have our tags, and we have all of our buttons where we want them. Style guides take a long time, but we spend a lot of time delving through color. So again, hope this series is helping. I know it's a lot of incoherent rambling from me. You're just getting to hear me think out loud. I'm trying to just share how I typically approach things. As I shut down, I'll just go ahead and show you with live server. We can close that server now, so it's no longer active. And if we come back over to our style guide, our gradient quits working because that's dead. And in fact, if we go live again and we refresh, we get it. But since we're done, we'll close the server. We don't need this anymore. But we are, while we're here, let's go ahead and open up GitHub. And for our product feedback, let's go ahead and let's see what changes we made. Lots of changes. I say adding resources, adding assets, and CSS. And let's commit it. Let's sync the changes. And now if we open up GitHub just to show you, GitHub, and of course I don't have it open here. Maybe I have it, maybe I'm logged in here. Yeah. And we say feedback. I have a lot of repos. If we go in here, now we see our style CSS. It's up here. So we have it, and then this is, we're going to use GitHub Pages to serve this up over JS Deliver CDN at the end. And in our next video, we're going to finish this for real. So I'll show you how to put the space here without breaking this and making it hard. We'll talk about active states, adding the check mark. We'll finish the forms, and then we'll add some basic CSS styles that I just use over and over and over again. We'll put in our anti-alias, and we'll get ready for line clamping or anything else we might need in here. So stick around. We're going to get this whipped, and in this next video we'll have this sorted out, and we'll get to start jumping into the fun stuff, which is building the structure. And then we'll start again. Then we'll start making it an app and make it work. And once we have it working, we'll take the next step and put in user systems on top of it, which there really isn't anything in here. So we'll have to kind of create a nav, and we'll design that together, a nav that fits this with, you know, where people log in, and how that's going to work, all that fun stuff. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you in the next video.